Kathrine Farris here, owner of Marketecs. Today I want to talk about appointments. Appointments are important. Getting appointments is even more important. These are how we sell our products or services, share our expertise, and we have to be able to make this process easy. So if you're not currently automating your appointment setting process, let me encourage you to do something a little bit differently. GoHighLevel is an all-in-one software platform that offers automated email marketing, social media marketing, text message marketing. It has lead generation capabilities. You can build landing pages and you can book your appointments. Plus, it's a full CRM. So everything is connected and everything is integrated. Now I'm going to take you through a little walkthrough of the appointment setting process, what it looks like to build out an appointment calendar, and even a little gatekeeper process that we like to implement. All right, so here we are inside of GoHighLevel, or better yet, our version of GoHighLevel called Marketecs Engine. This is a demo account, so if you see any information in here, it's not real, and it's also probably going to look a little bit light in terms of content. So from the main menu here, we're going to go to calendars. Now in GoHighLevel, they tend to call calendars what I would typically call appointments. It's a little bit interchangeable. But what you can see here is there's a couple different ways of looking at this. There's an actual calendar. You've got the week, you've got the month. You can change the different versions here. And then you can look at it per users. You can look at it per calendar, or like I said, what I would call appointment types. And you can group the different types of appointment types. So that's the calendar view. However, to create automated appointments or to automate your appointment setting process, you first need to set up these types of appointments, your onboarding call or your strategy session or consult, whatever it might be that you call it, your audit. So we do that from calendar settings. When we click on calendar settings, we actually switch over to the settings menu and we're automatically brought into calendars. And now you have a list of what they call calendars, what I call appointment types. From here, you can edit any of these. You can share them once they're already created by copying the link. You can also embed them on your website. And there's some other troubleshooting and different tools and options, and you can duplicate. So if you have one meeting type that you want to duplicate with a different name, it's easy to do that. But let's look up how to set a new appointment type or create a new calendar. There's a lot of different settings within here. So when we click new, we have several options for what type of appointment we're looking to create or type of calendar. Personal booking is probably one of the most common. You can also do classes, round robins, collective, and you can read the description for what each one of these are. But we're going to start with just a personal booking because everybody probably needs a personal booking consultation or networking meeting on their website. So from here, again, all these little information bubbles are going to help you understand what it is you're filling out for information. So this is the name that will be displayed on the top of your calendar widget. So we're just going to put in a little test here. You can select who you want this to go to. It can only be one person because we selected a personal meeting option here. You can add a description and this will show up again on that widget. And then we're going to create a URL for this. This will be the direct link to this calendar. All right, so then we get into more of the settings here. A 30-minute meeting, that sounds fine. Probably don't want it on the weekends. Maybe we don't even want this to be on Friday. We can just uncheck the days of the week. Now, what's our general time availability? We can connect this to our calendar, our Google Calendar or Outlook calendar in order for it to read our actual availability. But maybe you want to set this so that you're never taking an appointment before 9 and maybe you're taking them until 8 o'clock at night. So you can set your general availability. And now we're going to confirm. Now you could stop right there. And if I click this arrow, it's going to open up what that widget looks like with those very basic settings. I did not connect it to my calendar yet. I did not add any advanced forms or any sort of emails to go out afterward. This is very, very basic, but you can see that it already works. This is all the defaults. So this is all the defaults. Now, that test calendar is showing up as active in my list here, and I can click edit to find all the more advanced settings. All the settings are here down the left, and we're going to go right down this list. So from here, we have meeting details. You can add your logo to the top. This is a square version of a logo, so more of an icon. You can't add a very large logo here. Our calendar name came in, our description came in. If you have a particular group you want to put it in, you can do that. This is beneficial because you can also share whole groups of calendars or embed whole groups of calendars. So if you have multiple types of consultation or several services that you offer, you can put the whole group of services on a particular page if you group them. That URL that I put in, this meeting invite title, if you look here, this is actually what shows up on your calendar after the appointment is booked. It's also what is used in the emails. So this actually becomes maybe even more important to me than the calendar name up at the top. So I typically will use the same name here, but then I do put the contact name and I might include the user name as well. So this is where we get into some of the codes within GoHighLevel. Because it's a fully integrated system, you can use some of these short codes or little snippets here to enter information from the system, and it's going to customize the messages. So this is pulling the contact first name, so that's whoever booked the appointment. And if you click on this little tag, and you'll see these tags throughout the system, you'll see that there's options. There's appointment data that we can pull from, contact data, and account data, meaning your company name. Location name would be your company name. And you could even say at and your company name there. So this would say, test appointment or calendar appointment, Beth at Marketecs, and it would say that she was coming to see me. And you could do with, and we're going to go under appointment. You can say assigned user, and then it would put my first name if the appointment was here with me, which in this case it is because we are setting this up as my personal appointment. All right, so those are some of the tags and different codes that you can put in there. But again, this will show up on the calendar view and in third-party calendars and other people's calendars. So just think about what you want to put in that title. And I've had to tweak mine a couple times to get it to the point that I was right or liked it. So then the meeting location, you can connect Zoom or any of these other options. You can actually put in an address. You can put in anything that you really want here, and that's the location it's going to use. And you can add multiple location options as well. So maybe people can choose in person or on the phone. So you've got your address or phone number, and they'll have an option. And meeting color, that's just how it's going to show up in your calendar. So once I'm happy with these settings, I'm going to hit save up in the top right, and it's going to take me automatically to the next section, which is availability. So again, in the very brief setup window, I set 9 to 8 p.m. and I set Monday through Thursday. I can tweak that from here. I can even add just specific dates. Like this is a calendar just for Friday the 22nd, and that's it. The other things that you can do, which are pretty interesting, is look busy. And again, these little help icons are going to really help you here. So it's going to hide some availability automatically, and you can tell it how much do you want it to hide. So if you're just starting out and you don't want people to think that your calendar is wide open and every slot is available, you might say hide 50% of my available appointments. You can make this meeting reoccurring. Then the slot interval. So this is currently set up for slot intervals of 30 minutes. So people will be able to book appointments on the 30-minute block. And it happens to also be a meeting duration of 30 minutes. So even if this was a 60-minute block, if you had an hour and a half, it would show 3 appointment options with a 30-minute interval. If you had a 60-minute interval here, it would show 2 because it wouldn't start on the 30-minute mark. It would only start at the top of the hours. So 30 minutes is typically what I do. Meeting duration is up to you. How many days minimum and in advance do you want people to schedule with you? You may not want people to be able to schedule with you same day. And so that's where you would probably put at least 1 day out. Sometimes I put 2 days out if I want time to sort of prepare for the meeting a little bit more. And then how many days in the future? Do you want people booking appointments with you a year from now? Or do you want to go maybe 6 or 12 weeks, which is typically more what we recommend, is no more than a quarter out. And then how many appointments do you actually want per day? Maybe you want all of your availability to show. You don't want to look busy, but you really can't handle more than 3 appointments a day for this particular type of appointment. And this is specific to this appointment. You could still end up with 3 other types of appointments in a day. And then how many maximum bookings per slot is 1, and that is pretty standard. Then pre and post buffer times. Do you need actual time right before and right after this meeting to either get something ready or to debrief either by yourself, record your notes, or maybe with your team? And it's not uncommon to want at least 15 minutes pre and post. Sometimes you might need more on one side or the other. So now I'll click save and move on to forms and payments. All right, so the default form, which you saw on the test that I showed you, was just first name, last name, email, phone, and some notes. However, within the system, you can create opt-in forms for anything, including your appointments. So you could actually select a different form for your appointment type. And you could make it very specific and ask very specific questions when people are booking this type of appointment. And then you get to choose which order do you want it in. Do you want them to pick the date and time first or answer the form questions first? And do you want the option to add guests? And do you want the guest to fill out a form? And is it required that they add at least one guest, etc.? So lots of options there around guests as well. Now, this is where you also get to customize the message that they get after they book an appointment. So you can do just a simple text forum message here, and you can add in any custom data that you want. Again, so you could put their name in here to customize this message. You could put in the specifics around the appointment time, the date, that sort of information, and you find all of that under the appointment details here. So this is the start date only. And sometimes you have to test these out to get a little bit familiar with them. Now, in this one, we say, thank you, Beth, for your appointment. So here we have auto new calendar meetings on. This thank you message is really written for a request, not an auto confirmation. So I would reword this. I would say for booking appointment, I would take out this, we will contact you shortly to confirm, because like I said, we have auto confirm turned on. Please contact us. I think that that works if you have any questions. And then I might put appointment details, and you would put the date, time. So again, if we go under appointment and we do start time, so we have date only, time only. The other option is to do date and time on one line. And that option looks like this. It's date and time. I don't know why it doesn't say and, but that's what's along with the time. I might put the time zone as well. All right, so we have the date, the time, and the time zone. And you can look at what else is on here. Meeting location might be another good thing to add. And you always want to test these after the fact to make sure you like how it looks and you got all your spacing correct. So like I said, we are auto confirming, and again, you can read more about that. It's going to be approved automatically. If you turn this off, you will get a message and have to actually come into the system and automatically approve each option. Now, if you have payments turned on, if you've connected to a payment provider, you will have the option to accept payments as well for your appointments. So not all of your appointments have to be free, and this is all built within the system. It will collect the payment for you, confirm the meeting, and then as you'll see in the next section, it will send all of your notifications. Now, this is one place in GoHighLevel where the emails can come from two different places. You could set them up in here in this notification options, or you could choose to go build a workflow and put the emails in there. You build the emails in exactly the same way. You build them as email templates if you want them to be customized. It's just a matter of where are you going to remember and making sure you don't set up both. So anytime you create a new appointment, the defaults look like this. Basically, everything is turned off except for these two in-app notifications. So for me personally, I am auto confirming these. So this does not need to be turned on at all because there is no unconfirmed appointments in my system. I have my calendars connected, so I am okay with it confirming everything and removing that step from me. I can always reach out to somebody in the rare occasion that I need to reschedule something. So you can automatically, the in-app notification is turned on when someone has a confirmed appointment. And this is just a little notification that's going to pop up in GoHighLevel. So you would have to actually be in there to see this. I don't see that there's anything wrong with this. I'm not sure it's the most effective method for most people. I would recommend turning on actual email notifications for confirmed appointments. Now, when you turn that on, you now have 4 different options to look at. So you have the contact, which is the person who actually booked the appointment. And you can see the defaults in here are appointment start time and time zone, and it says they have a confirmed appointment. And this works. This email is good to go. You can absolutely use this. It is not branded and it might not be your language though. So you might want to take a look at it and at least edit this, or go and create a template that you can use for all of your meeting confirmations, which is what I would recommend. Instead of editing this message for however many appointments you have, maybe it's only 2, maybe it's 200. But instead of editing it that many times, I would go and create a branded email template with your colors, your logo, your correct opt-out links, your signature that's already formatted. And you can actually do that right from here. And then I would use that as your contact confirmation message for booked appointments across the board. And because you can put in these pieces of code, it's always going to grab the right information for that particular appointment. You don't have to make a separate different confirmation message for each appointment type. So then you have a confirmation for the guest. For the guest, I would probably also do a custom message. I would change it a little bit. It would be almost like the one that I send, or I should say, mine are almost like the ones that I send to the contacts, except I do use this wording, you have been invited, because they're not actually the ones that booked the appointment. Hopefully they know about it, but they're not actually the one that booked it. The assigned user, that's the internal person. So when you book an appointment with me, that is me. I am the assigned user. I don't worry too much about customizing these. As long as I'm getting an email saying I have a new appointment, I'm not that worried about it, because this is also going to go on my calendar automatically, which is actually the number one place I'm going to look. So some people might even turn these off, and you would do that by unchecking that box. Now, the last one is if you want to send additional emails. This could be additional emails to your assistant. There's a variety of ways you can do this, but you can enter multiple email IDs here. And this is if you want every time this appointment is booked, you want this content, this particular email to go to a particular email address. So one way that I use this is we have an outside project management system. We use Teamwork for our project management. And I want all of my appointments to be created in Teamwork as a task assigned to me. So I created a task list for new client appointments. And that task list has an email address that you can use to and auto create new tasks in it. I put that email address in here so that anytime someone books an appointment with me, I get an email, it goes on my calendar, it's auto approved, and it goes in my project management system as a task for me to do. So for me, that's just a better level of automation. I know that I'm going to catch all of that somewhere. I'm going to recognize everywhere that that's going. It's everywhere that I'm looking. But you may or may not need the additional emails. When you're done, you hit save, and then you can close that section. And then you want to go through all of these exactly the same. So cancellation. The user, the person who booked the appointment, at the very least, and probably any guests should get a cancellation email. If somebody cancels an appointment with you, you might want to get an email about it. Rescheduling, same thing. And then reminders. This will drastically help reduce your no-shows. I believe every appointment should have reminders. These are customized in the sense that you can set up how often you want these reminders to go. So standard would be maybe 1 day before and 1 hour before, but this defaults to 10 minutes before. It's really up to you. And again, I would probably create a branded message, custom wording that goes out for every appointment that gets scheduled. And I do send reminders to myself as well. So for the assigned user, I definitely have something come through my email, say an hour before, just to remind me, because the last thing I would ever want to do is ghost somebody on a meeting that they scheduled with me. So yes, I recommend assigned users, guests, and contacts get at least 1 reminder, if not 2 or 3. And then follow-ups are optional, especially in this setting. I feel like follow-ups are probably better set up as an automation because you could have it be based on whatever actions or tags you added to the contact record after. Maybe they get a specific follow-up or another. In here, this is going to be a very general follow-up. So unless you were simply asking for maybe a review, I don't know that I would use the follow-up section here, unless this, again, is a very specific appointment type for a very specific service. Then you might follow up with, here's your next steps, because it's the same for everyone always. Or again, that review option would be another thing that you could send automatically in a follow-up from here. Next down the list here, we have the Google Calendar invites. And you can assign people to the team member that they booked an appointment with. I haven't had a need to necessarily do this, but if you have a sales team with multiple people, this could be very useful. So then they're actually assigned to them. That could trigger some things in your pipelines, that could have all kinds of reactions when it comes to your automations and workflows down the road. Different reporting as well. And then you can limit when people are allowed to reschedule their meetings. Do you want them to be able to reschedule their meeting right up until the last minute or not? That is optional. You just put when you want those rescheduling link and cancellation links to expire. And then these are just meeting invite notes. And again, your little help tips will really give you clues as to what everything is if you forget. All right, now when I click save here, I get to my last and final section in the calendar setup, and that is customization. And this is where you can change your colors. So if you know your color codes, you can update your colors in here. And you can change what the button says. Maybe you want it to say submit or book now. Let's do that. And you have the option of turning these pieces off. The calendar title that we set, the description, details, things like that. You can turn those off in this booking. You can also upload a cover image. So if I take and preview this new version of my widget, you will see the differences, and we'll go back here. You'll see the differences. That custom color that I put in sort of jumps out at you right at first. That's one of the biggest differences. When I click a time and go to select, you can see that the form is very different. And now I have an add guest option and a book now button. And those were all settings that I had put in comparison to enter my details and schedule a meeting. So now if I click save, it'll solidify all of my settings. And from here, as I mentioned before, we can grab the link to the calendar. So you can do a one-time link, a permanent link. You can grab the one that's a little bit prettier that we created. You can grab the embed code and put this on your website. The other thing you can do is you can put your calendars on web pages within GoHighLevel or on funnels within GoHighLevel. You can embed them directly. So this link isn't terrible. If I were to copy this, and I can show you what this link looks like. This is the customized link that we created. It says test widget test. That's what I put in there. Now, if that's not customized enough for you, that little ending piece, if you really want your domain in here, that's where you would create a web page with your own domain within GoHighLevel, or even on your website and just embed the calendar in. And the URL would look much better. You could actually make the page look exactly like this. It doesn't have to be more complicated. All right, so that is how to build a calendar. Now, one of the things I promised was that I would also show you our Gatekeeper process. So again, within GoHighLevel, we're going back to the main menu, and then I'm going to go into automation. Within automations, I typically keep things in folders, and one of my folders is appointment and calendar workflows. Now, for this purpose, I have just this one Gatekeeper automation in here. If this was more of a real working account, there'd probably be several different automations and things that were happening when somebody booked an appointment, different tags that were being added, different pipeline stages that they were being moved to, going from a prospect to a lead, that sort of thing. But within this Gatekeeper process, this is something specific, and we have a couple articles on our website about this and everything. This is something very specific that we do for a lot of our clients to help make sure that the leads coming in are quality leads, that they're not going to ghost them, that they're actually going to show up, they're going to have less no-shows, and get them their ideal clients. So this starts with a form submitted. Whenever you're building an automation, you have to have a trigger, something that's going to kick off this workflow. We started with a form trigger. We have the option of any form that we've created. So we have a specific form. And when you kick off a workflow, you can actually add multiple triggers. So if I were to show you how to add this trigger again, basically I would click add new trigger, and I would type in form, and you can see form submitted is an option. And then I simply say the form is, and it's the application Gatekeeper. And it's probably going to tell me I already have this set up. I do, and I can't do it again. All right, so after somebody submits that form, we have a notification step here. And this is going to notify whoever we want that a new consult application was completed. And this is an email. You have the multiple options here, if you even want a notification at all. Depending on how many applications you have coming through, you may or may not want to get these notifications. For a mid-level business, you probably want to know every time that somebody is interested in getting a consult or booking an appointment with you. And that's what this is. This is somebody that is interested in talking to you. They're stating that they're interested. And so we have a new consult application was received because they have not booked an appointment. They have simply applied for one or said that they are interested. And we give all of the contact information that we've collected from this form via email to the person that most needs it. One of the questions on our form is, how ready are you to invest? And I'll show you that form in a minute here so you can see what I mean. But this is a custom question. And this question is actually going to determine the results for the rest of this workflow. So after we notify the team that somebody's interested, we add a couple of tags to the contact record. And tags are just a way of filtering people in GoHighLevel so that you can keep your contacts organized, you can search, and you know what people have done in the system. So an application was submitted and it's under review at this step. Then we send an email to the person that filled out the form. And you would customize the email and it would say, thank you for your interest. We will be in touch within 24 hours, etc. Say whatever you would like to at that point because they have applied for something. They should get some form of notification. It also gives you a chance to test their email and make sure that their email was good. All right, this is going to wait at least 5 minutes. We have a 5-minute delay in here. And then it's going to look for that question that I mentioned in the form. So this is a branching or condition that we've added, and it's listed as a condition based on whatever conditions you put in. So we have the option of creating branches. The question that we have in our form, and actually you saw it here because it's the one I put in. So we have name and email and company and industry, and then we have this question: how ready are you to invest in your business? And this could be a question about how much are you making? How big is your team? What level are you ready to invest at? Minimal, maximum? How big is the problem that you're trying to solve? So this could be any question in the world, but you pick a question that has some sort of rating system or very clear answers to it. And that question can become this branching. So in this case, we're saying anyone with a 6 or higher that has not already had an appointment with us. So there's two kind of variables here. So we're looking for a 6 or higher, and we do this by very simply going into the contact details, and then we find that custom question: how ready are you to invest? And we say the answer is a 10 or a 9 or an 8 or a 7 or a 6. And tags do not include the fact that they already have an appointment, whatever our appointment tag is. And like I said, when we're doing meetings and appointment setups, we'll often have different tagging structures for after somebody books an appointment. So that is one branch. That is somebody that has never had an appointment with us, and they're a 6 or higher on that question, that custom question that we asked. And then there's everybody else, or the none branch is anyone less than 6 in this case. Is not being disqualified per se. They could be if you wanted to, but in our case, we're suggesting a manual review process. So we're going to move on now. So that was the condition branches. So then we have those two branches. We have the 6 or plus with no prior appointment, and the less than 6 that equals a manual review. So let's start with the 6 or higher. So first of all, they get a consult approved tag. And then they remove the request under review tag because it's no longer under review. They've been approved. Next, they get an email, and this email is simply going to be along the lines of, you're approved. Here's the link to book your appointment. And it doesn't have to be really complicated. It just needs to be really clear. All right, then we wait a day, and there is a reminder because we know that they have not already scheduled. And we know that because down here we have what's called a goal. And this goal is that if they ever have an appointment approved and confirmed, bring them down to this point. So that means they will not get these reminder emails if they actually schedule an appointment at this time. So we are safe to say, wait a day, send a reminder. And the reminder is, hey, don't forget to schedule your appointment. Wait another day, send another reminder. Then wait 2 days, send a third reminder. Just a pretty standard process. After that third email, if they still haven't scheduled, we're actually going to tag them as consult never scheduled, just because it puts them in the system that way. And then they're going to get the newsletter tag so that they will stay in touch just on a regular cycle of whatever our email newsletter is. Now, at this point, you could do a manual outreach, you could call, you could maybe add a text message in here. In any of this step, you could add SMS text messaging very simply. Maybe after the second reminder, you want to add an SMS. And it's as simple as choosing the SMS, typing in your text, and then you would want to put in your booking link, and that would go there. So that's how you add any action to the system. Triggers are at the top, actions are throughout. All right, so then let's say if they were a manual review, we get an internal notification. And this is a manual review is required for this person. Again, all of their information is sent over and how ready are they to invest? And in that case, it's an email. If you prefer it a different way, you just set it up for something different. Wait a day. And then we're looking for, were they approved or denied? And this is a manual tagging process in this particular case. It is simply you go in and you tag them as approved or you tag them as denied. And then the system will look for it. If they are approved, they move over, and you see this little move over to the approved workflow or section. If they are denied, they also then get an email saying thank you for applying, and we call it a consolation prize. You want to give them something of value in this email, something that will help them in their journey, take their next steps. Maybe it's your ebook, maybe it's a couple of videos, maybe you give them half off an upcoming course or event that you're doing, but you want to give them some sort of consolation prize at this point if you're turning them down to schedule an appointment with you. And then we add the newsletter tag again to keep them in that normal communication rotation. However, if let's say it's a long holiday weekend and within the day you did not get a chance to approve or deny this particular application, or let's just say it's a regular weekend, right? So then it goes to the none conditions. So they don't have either one of those tags. It waits a day. And then look at this, it circles back up through and searches for that approved or denied tag again. And so it does that every day until it finds it. So even on a long weekend, it's not going to be more than 3 days, hopefully, before somebody gets that tag and then gets one of the responses, either the denied email or the approved email. And so that's our gatekeeper process. That is how you can hopefully get better leads and less people not showing up to your appointments. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. I hope you see the value in having automated appointment setting and processes and workflows, and of course, having it all in one place. If you're already a high-level user, I hope that you can implement some of these things if you're not already a high-level user, I hope you will click the link in the description, check out Marketecs Engine, and certainly feel free to contact us if you have any questions. Thanks.